Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Talking Reds fan channel. I am Stu, your host for this morning's show on this beautiful Monday morning. And we're here to talk about all the transfer goings on, the preseason friendly that we had over the weekend, and just going through all the tidbits and everything that's been just generally happening over the last couple of days. But before we do that, make sure you do leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. As you can see, the target that I set for all of you has been surpassed. Thank you very much for all that, and getting the channel over the 1,000 mark. That is absolutely brilliant. But we don't rest there. We are going for the 1,500 now, and we're actually at about 1,080-ish, something like that. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I am also going to be joined this morning by Patricio. Hopefully, if he has no technical difficulties and his hearing is working.
Yeah, it's all good now. Working fine now.
It's all working fine now, right? Okay.
Yeah, sorted.
Welcome along. How you doing, Patricio?
Yeah, good yourself?
Yeah, very well, mate. Very well indeed. It's been an interesting couple of days. Obviously, we haven't been live since I think it was Saturday evening that Damo told us. Unfortunately, people not being available. So I apologize to all you guys that haven't had any content from us lot at Talking Reds for the last couple of days. But hey, these things get in the way. So the first thing that I'm going to go over, and I think it's the most obvious one, is going to be the Diaz transfer. And it's looking like that is going to be signed, sealed, and delivered by tomorrow morning. From what I understand, he has already he was there with the squad yesterday at their Buddhist meditation training that they were doing yesterday. But I believe he has already left Tokyo and is on a inbound flight towards Munich as we speak, and is due to land there later today, have his medical and everything tomorrow, and then do all the bits and pieces signing the contract. I think it's just pretty much a foregone conclusion. And for 70 million euros, round about 65 million quid, I think that's pretty decent. Well, I personally, I mean, we've almost doubled our money on a player who's going to be 29 years old at the end of the year. And I think we've got the best out of him personally now, and I think it's the right time for him to move on, for the club to move on, and all that sort of stuff. But Patricia, what are you thinking about that?
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. I think he's done what he could do at Liverpool. I think he's definitely grown as a player from when we signed him and stuff, and you can see that he still has the technical ability. He's just maybe isn't what Slot's looking for. I mean, he did utilize him a lot as a 9, obviously last season. So it seems to be that he obviously isn't required there anymore. And obviously we're looking towards Ekatike and potentially Isak. So I think it was the right time. Obviously he's looking for different avenues. He's looking for something else to bolster his career. So yeah, I wish him all the best, to be fair. I've got no animosity.
Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, I understand it. And it's different circumstances for different players. But we looked after him and his family when he went through the worst of it, but he's repaid us with basically what his best season, I think, this season 100%. In terms of output, goals and assists wise, especially when he, like you say, he was being asked to play as a false 9 sometimes he's even as an out-and-out striker, coming in off the left. And yeah, it's best season, and he walks away with a Premier League title. I think, like Fireburn says here, it is very good business, and we all wish him well. I think that is pretty much the sentiment through the entire fan base. Nobody from what I've seen on socials has turned around and said, "Oh no, this is disgusting," blah blah blah, and getting on their high horse about it. I'm certainly not. I remember when only 2.5 years ago that we brought him in that January, and Klopp played him, I think, virtually just after we signed him. Literally chucked him in at the deep end, and it was just bam. He hit the ground running straight there and then, like he'd never been away for, like he'd been in the club for like 5 years previous. And I just remember sitting there thinking, who the bloody hell is this guy? I hadn't even heard of him. It was one of those transfers that was kind of out of the blue. Nobody really knew anything about him. And it was just like, woof, there we go, straight in. Goals and assists, pure attacking mentality. He was very much a Klopp-style sort of player. Very direct and just went at it. And he just continued with that vein all the way through his 2.5-year career. Obviously, he does have his detractors as well. There are moments where he had like sort of games where you just go like 8-9 games of not really producing anything, and it would produce more frustration from the fans than more than anything else. Like, so we know you could do it, but can you do it consistently all the way through the season? And I think that is probably the only, from my perspective anyway, the only gripe I've got with him is showing that consistency all the way through the season. Yes, it's a very difficult thing to do. Trying to stay consistent for like 50, 60 games in the season it's going to be difficult anyway. But I think that is probably the only gripe I could have, that he would have those periods where he wouldn't do anything at all. And
yeah,
you just can't explain it. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. We've discussed this before.
Yeah, we have.
Plenty of times. It's just, yeah, it's one of those. But even still, Diaz, absolutely, thank you very much for your service to the club. It has been absolutely brilliant. And I wish him all the best. He's going to a good league where I think actually he will probably do even better. I think the Bundesliga is probably a little bit more suited to his style now.
Yeah, I reckon he'll thrive. Yeah, especially with Bayern as well. What obviously a massive club.
Huge.
And it's only going to get bigger as well. So I think what they're doing, I think their style, them bringing Diaz in, it just makes sense, especially with the age he's getting on at, and he'll be able to sort of assist and help out with Kane while he's there. So I think it'll be good.
I mean, not for wanting to sound too harsh on Nunes or any of the other strikers, but he's actually going into a team that's got a striker who will score.
Yeah.
Consistency. So those assists that he's been provided, he knows that there's going to be a striker there that's going to put it in the back of the net for once. So it's a shame that he doesn't get to play with the likes of our new signings as well. But that's football. Football moves on at the end of the day. So we've got a few people in the chat already. Willem is skiving off work and he's in the office and watching us in the background. But like he says, at the end of the day, we won't likely get any more out of him. And if he wants to leave, 29 soon, good business for all parties. Totally agree. Coming up to that point where, yeah, okay, he's supposedly in the prime of his career, but we've taken a couple of those years of his prime. And he's going to share a couple of those prime years with Bayern Munich and so on and so forth.
Saudi league then?
Probably, more than likely. But I'm actually quite impressed with how he sort of dismissed the Saudi links and didn't want to do that straight away. He could have quite easily done that.
Yeah.
Well, he wants to stay in the competitive. I admire that actually more than anything else.
Yeah.
This is a good move. If a player wants to move, let him go. Same to Newcastle. Yeah, give us Isak. He wants to move.
He does indeed.
I'll come on to that in a minute. Dave LSC chat. Morning Reds. Huge. A hugs week. Are we all going to be hugging each other by the end of this week? Hey,
very much.
We could very well be doing that. You'd never know. And also a centre half coming in as well, possibly. As William says, yes, I have busted him for keeping us on in the background whilst he's working from home. Dave's created himself a huge week, not a hugs week, but we can still all hug each other if we want to. If we do get Isak, I should imagine that's going to be happening quite a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, now the Diaz stuff is covered. And as Dave says, this is a huge week in the transfer market. And I don't say that too lightly either. This is a massive, massive week. And by all accounts, Newcastle are looking at Šeško from Leipzig, which I suggested would be their best option anyway a couple of weeks ago. I think Šeško would be their best option to replace Isak. And also I've heard a couple of rumors. I've heard the potential usage of one of our players, i.e. Harvey Elliott, being used as a bargaining chip into this as well. Not that we're short of the money. We could easily still spend 120, 130, maybe even 150 million in total with all the bonuses and everything going into it. But I think personally it would be a more sound deal if we chucked a player into that mix as well. And as much as I love Harvey Elliott, and he's celebrating actually a 6-year anniversary of coming to the club today, I noticed Liverpool put on a few photos about that. And I've also noticed a few of the comments on Twitter about it as well, saying, oh, is this symbolism that he's going to be moving? So I think, no, it's just his 6-year anniversary of being at the club. Let's not read too much into it. But we all know from his own comments as well that Elliott does want more first-team football. He's reaching that point in his career. He's 23 or nearly 23. He needs week in, week out football if he wants to be considered a full England international as well, because he's thinking about that. He's a permanent fixture in the under-21s, even though he's one of the overage players. They did really well in the under-21 championships, again with him in the side. He had a blinding tournament, but he needs to make that step up now. And unfortunately, with the signings that we made and the squad that we've got, and sort of picture as fans, we can see where the direction our squad is going under Slot now. I just can't see Elliott in that. So that, for me, makes more sense to put him into the Isak deal as a make weight, knock a little bit of money off. But I also think Elliott would be absolutely brilliant in a Newcastle side.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it's quite difficult for him because he's always had to compete for sort of that 10 right wing spot, whereas obviously Salah, Szoboszlai have always taken that spot. And even when we had Thiago, when he was sort of fit for a little bit, I mean, the issue is
one game every 6 months.
Yeah, and I would have really liked for him to thrive there. Obviously, we were playing Maka as a 10 as well. And I think he just wasn't really going to get that spot where he needs the minutes. And when we loaned him out, was it like a season or two ago? We loaned him out. I think that was perfect for him. It's where he thrived. I think he just needs those minutes. And we saw that again in the Euros for the under-21s, where he thrived playing, having that game time. As much as I want him to stay with us, I really do. I just think just to get the best out of him, he needs to go to another club. It doesn't mean he can't come back to Liverpool in future, but it just means the fact that he can get the time he needs. And I think, to be fair, Newcastle would be a good club. Obviously, they're trying to do like rebuild as much as they can. Obviously, they haven't been too lucky this transfer window, but I can see us throwing in a player for Isak would settle it a bit and sort of it benefit Elliott more as well. So yeah, I think that could be a good one. Especially seems Newcastle seems the best out of the choices he's sort of had of where he could go.
Yeah.
So
I mean, in Elliott's case, I've heard obviously West Ham and Spurs, Brentford as well. I think West Ham, you do all right at Brentford. I worry for, I think, this season because they've been, like Bournemouth, they've been ripped apart a little bit. Had some of their best players picked off. Spurs under Thomas Frank, actually, I think he could do really well there. I think that is definitely an option. But I do think, at the end of the day, it's Champions League football still with Newcastle. So you still be playing on the bigger stage, albeit it may only be for one season, depending on how Newcastle get on this season. But I think for all parties, for me, it just makes sense. It just makes sense to use him as a make weight. And you never know, we may be able to put in some sort of clause like we did with Quansah, where we could buy him back a few years down the line if needs be. But I think the case with Elliott is, for me, more than anything else, and the reason why I really like him as a lad and as a player is just his enthusiasm for the club, because he's a Liverpool fan. He's grown up being a Liverpool fan. He's got to play for his boyhood club. Let's face it, all us fans being football fans when we were kids, we all dreamed of doing that. And he, like Jones and Trent and any players going back through time, have all done that. And he just has that enthusiasm for the club. And I know he, in his mind, professionally, he wants to stay at Liverpool. I'm certain of that. But he is also old enough to realise now that his game time is going to be limited.
Yes, especially with us bringing in Wirtz now as well.
Yeah, I think that was the final nail in the coffin for his position. And obviously, at that point in time, when we didn't know, the whole Wirtz thing came out of left field a little bit for all the fans. Were like, "Well, is this serious sort of thing?" And now that we got it over the line, you look at a player like Elliott and go, "Well, like you say, we've played McAllister in the 10, we played Zob in the 10, we've got Wirtz in the 10. Ekitike could drop back into that as well."
Yeah.
Elliott, we have since discovered he's not fast enough to cover Salah's position. He doesn't have that blistering pace and speed on the wing to cover that position. So I've always said that Elliott suits more of an 8 or a 10 position anyway, where he can be at his most creative.
Yeah, I agree.
But he needs the players behind him to cover defensively, because defensively he just isn't good enough. Attacking wise, absolutely brilliant. He's got the vision, he's got the pass, he's even got the shot on him. He can get goals as well. But like I say, with the arrival of Wirtz, that for me was the final nail in the coffin for Elliott's career at Liverpool. So in all parties, again, I'll say it again, just makes sense. Get Isak over the line, chuck Elliott in as a bargaining chip. in the chat, let us know what you think about that. Do you think Elliott is going to be used as a bargaining chip, or are we just going to flat out pay the 125 million up front with another 25 million in bonuses on top of that? It's God, these figures, the money.
I know, but we're still under PSR. We're still like good for PSR, aren't we, for regulations and stuff? So
It's ridiculous. Again, I've seen plenty of this on social media over the weekend. Tons of fans, not just Newcastle fans, Arsenal, Man United, and all that, going on about how can Liverpool spend all this money? Let me make this perfectly clear. We have spent bugger all money for the last couple of years, realistically, compared to the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Spurs. If you have a look, I can't find it now. I did have it on my page. And it was a list of the top 10 clubs in net spend of the Premier League for the last 5 years. And we were 8th.
Yeah. It's crazy when you think about it. Yeah.
I mean, come on. We spent 10 million on Chiesa last season and 35 million on Marmadashvili. Now, the Marmadashvili one, I'm confused. I don't know whether they put that onto last season or this season. No idea. But either or, we've barely spent any money. So to make this perfectly clear to any opposing fans that are watching this, we still have plenty of money to use and we've got plenty of clout. We are here to stay and we are here to stay on top. That is the plan for the club and that is exactly what we are doing at the moment. No financial issues whatsoever. Arsenal fans, don't come at us going, oh, you're spending too much money, blah, blah, blah. What's Arteta done in the last 6 years?
Thank you. Yep.
What's Arteta done in the last 6 years? What was it? 1 FA Cup? Something like that?
Over COVID time as well.
Yeah, so insignificant, I can't even remember. So don't come at us saying, oh, you're spending too much money, blah, blah, blah. I'm a kid of the 80s and 90s. I remember how good Liverpool were before we fell right off and went straight into the doldrums and saw Man United run away with it. And then Arsenal decided to join them. And then Chelsea decided to join them. And we just got left behind. Crappy transfer window after crappy transfer window. Now we're not. And we're back with the big boys. It's as simple as that. Sorry, little rant there, but it really annoys me how some fans have very, very short memories about this. So back onto the comments here. Harvey is brilliant, but I don't think he will ever be ahead of the players. Like, yeah,
sad,
completely agree. Damo's in the chat as well. Exactly. We're still making tons of money through the revenue side of things. TV revenue, prize money. I mean, at the end of the day, looking at the money side of things, we got another season of Champions League at least this season. If we finish top 8 again, say we get, I don't know, 6 wins, a draw and a loss, and we finish top 8, that is another 100 million in itself, straight off the bat, just out of those 8 league fixtures. And then you've got the next knockout rounds where you get like, I think it's like 25 or 30 million each per round. We could potentially be on for another couple 100 million just through Champions League revenue alone. I'm going to ask you this actually, Patricia. Can you see us having another spending window like this next year?
No. I think we spoke about this in the WhatsApp group chat. I think we said that like, we're happy with what we spent so far. Like, this is just to bolster up positions we need. And I think from now, for the next possible 5 years, what they're doing is they're sort of future-proofing us, buying the 23, 24, 5-year-olds, sort of future-proofing us for the next 4 or 5 years. And then we can pick and choose where we need to bolster, like centre back, like another DM for Grau. So stuff like that. And I think our attack, as soon as we get Isak, hopefully, then that will be sorted. Obviously, then we've got to consider, what about when Salah goes? What about when Van Dijk goes? That's other things. But right now, getting in that money, like you said, we're selling other players. And then I think Slot said he wants to have 2 players competing for one position in each position. So I think it's still a long build, still going to take time to get there. But I'm more than happy with the attack. It's just, and the midfield for the most part, except for when we get another DM. And then it's just building up the rest of it. I think as soon as we saw last season when Slot came in and we got Marmadashvili, everyone was so confused. We're like, why didn't we get a DM or a centre back? Something like that. People were so annoyed. But I think it makes sense now. And the fact that, like you said, we're going to be bringing in more money with Champions League consistently. It's just, and player sales as well.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about like sort of some of the players that we've got coming through the youth system, and some of them may not make it, and we're still make a bit of money out of them, so to speak. But like Demo says here as well, I mean, I hate this competition with a passion. I don't think it should exist, to be
I
fair.
agree.
But in 4 years' time, we will be at that as well, more than likely, I would have thought. So there's a couple of $100 million to earn out of that. But in the short term, like you say, Slot has said that he wants competitive players, 2 players in each position. And I completely agree with that. So if we do a quick review of what we've got at the moment, we've got Alisson in goal with Marmadashvili and Freddie Woodman. So actually, we've got the 3 goalkeepers sorted. Obviously, Vitslav Jaros is over in Ajax, getting a season-long loan. Brilliant for him. See how it works out. Then we look at the fullback positions. Connor Bradley, Jeremy Frimpong. That's 2 really, really freaking good right backs.
Well,
left back. Kirkes, Robbo, and Tsimikas. Now, I still expect one of them to be gone by the time the transfer window ends. Personally, I think it's going to be Tsimikas. I think Robbo stays around for more of the like sort of team mentality, the team building. I don't think he's going to be first choice this year. And then centre backs, obviously, you got Konate, Van Dijk, and Gomez. That is our weak point at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, if we can keep Gomez fit this season and bring in Gahey, that's 4 centre backs. So we're fighting in that position. Then you look at the centre of midfield. The centre of midfield, no worries whatsoever. Endo, Grav, McAllister, Zoboslai, Jones, Tyler Morton if he doesn't go.
That's Trey Nyonyi.
Yeah, again. So that's 7 players for what, 2 positions?
Mm-hmm.
That's highly competitive. And then you're looking up in the forward line where we could potentially have Isak and Ekatike fighting out for the striker positions. Then you got the 10 position, which again could be Jones, Zoboslai, Wirtz. Left-hand side, Gakpo, Ngamoa. I personally think, by the looks of it, and looking at some of the comments that have been fed through on our WhatsApp group today, I think Ngamoa is going to be the second choice.
Yeah, and then we've even got Ekatike as well,
who could play out on that side. And Wirtz could play out on that left-hand side as well. The fluidity that we got in the players. And then obviously on the right-hand side, we got Ben Doak and Salah. I mean, Ben Doak, we have no idea what's going to be happening, whether he's going to stay or whether he's going to go. Personally, I'd like to see him stay for a season just to see what we can get out of him.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit of a risk, but you never know. He had a good season at Middlesbrough last season, so you just don't know. So I think, like, sort of squad-wise, future-proofing, when you think about probably the 2 or 3 players that are on, I would say, the end stretch, so to speak, of their playing careers for the club. That would be Salah, Van Dijk, Robbo, Alisson. 4 players, the stalwarts of the club. So Alisson is covered with Marmadashvili and Jaros and Woodman, so that's okay. Van Dijk is the big one. We have to get him right. And I think, personally, in my mind, that gets solved next summer. I think that gets solved next summer. Then, obviously, Robbo, we got Kirkes replaced him. The interesting one I took away from that over the weekend was the fact that Owen Beck has gone out on loan for the season to Derby, but also signed a new long-term contract, which leads me to think that Slot may be happy with him to come in as a number 2 behind Kirkes. I mean, do you think that as well? Because that's kind of what I'm taking.
I do. I agree with that. I think that's what they're planning for, is loan him out, get him some minutes, and bring him back in future.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. I mean, we saw a little bit of him under Klopp. I mean, again, Owen Beckley's 22, 23 now, I think. So acting as a backup to Kirkes, if he's happy with that, then okay, it may work out. Just a quick hello from Jen. Hello, Jen. How are you doing? And then Salah is probably the biggest replacement job.
Yeah, I think we were all hopeful for Chiesa to not. He wouldn't realistically take the role and go start running with it. But I think last season we sort of thought, he could be like a rotation player. Obviously, we know how that's gone. But I think it's only a case of a matter of like where we could realistically bolster there. Like, do we go in for Rodrigo, seeing as Madrid are looking to sell? Is he more of a left winger?
I think the big thing that puts us off Rodrigo is the financial package.
Yeah, no, he will expect a massive wage, and that's the issue. But if we are moving Salah on, I reckon Salah does need an understudy, someone to play under him, and then sort of rotate into games. And I don't know if that's going to be Doak, to be honest.
Again, but the thing is, what Doak has, he's got age on his side.
Yeah.
He's only 18 still. So I think some people forget that because he's been at the club for a couple of years. We did only get him when he was 16 from Celtic, and he's had a bit of growth issues, like sort of not footballing wise, but physically wise, in his hamstrings and his calves, because he uses pace and just pure speed more than anything. He is absolutely rapid. When you're a young lad growing up, hamstrings and calves are always going to be the ones that are going to go first and going to suffer, as we saw many years ago with Michael Owen. That was the issue that he had.
And I think the only thing we've got going for us this season is the fact that we brought in Frimpong, who seems to be a likely sort of step in for when Salah's out at AFCON and stuff. It seems to be Frimpong might go there, and then we play Bradley at right back. But then even then, if Bradley or Frimpong were to get injured, hopefully not, touch wood, but it's like we're sort of planning, like we're not really future proof in there, and that's another worry for me.
Yeah,
so obviously we have got that long month out with no Salah, so we've got to think of what we're actually going to be able to do there.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, actually. It tends to slip my mind, the whole AFCON thing. And there obviously are going to be other teams that are in a similar situation, Sunderland being for one, because they went absolutely nuts on buying African players, and they're going to be missing half their squad come African Cup of Nations time. Obviously, we're really going to be missing Salah, I think.
Yes.
I think it is only just Salah that we're going to be missing.
I think it's only Salah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so who is going to fill in that point? Well, if Doak sticks around and he has a reasonably good season as backup, and maybe in the cup competitions and stuff like that, then why not? But also, Wirtz could go out on that side.
He could do, but the only thing I'm thinking, let's say we do get Isak, I'm just speculating, it goes into like a 4-2, like a 4-2-2 as such. So like Grav and maybe like Curtis Jones take the middle, or Endo, whoever, and then we've got Maka and Wirtz as cams, and then Isak and Nakatika up top. I don't know. That's still sort of leaving it in case we do need to play someone there, especially if Elliott moves on.
I think that is definitely a thing on the way Slot manages his teams, and we definitely saw it last year, is tactical flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those very few managers that makes a lot of changes during games and stuff like that. So, yeah, we could easily start out in our usual 4-2-3-1. But when we lose Salah, we could easily go to a 4-2-2 narrow formation easily. Yeah. Before we carry on, so I just want to go through some of the comments. Just picked up on this one. Jen, thank you very much for the little donation. That is lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Melvin. Oh, hang on. What's happened? I've clicked on something. I can't. There we go. Melvin, welcome to the channel. How front three for the board? Ooh. Front three. Well, if Isak comes in, I think it's going to be Isak. In fact, I won't say front three, because if he does do the usual formation, it'll be a front four, so to speak. So personally, I think it'll be Gakpo, Wirtz, Salah, and Isak up front when he comes in. I think that's the starting front four, personally. Willem. Oh, yeah, because Willem's a man of the know. He knows a few things over in Spain. So overall package for wages and agents fees and mental. Yeah, I mean, I can't see us putting Rodrigo on a similar sort of package to Salah straight away myself.
Yeah, I can't really see that either, especially that's what he'll demand though. And I know that it's sort of a bit of uncertainty with he hasn't been getting as much game time. Well, if anything, from Madrid. So, I mean, I would have liked to have joined us back in 2017, 2018 when we were looking at him.
Yeah,
that would have been better time for him, but obviously he chose differently. And I think I've been reading Willem's other comment as well. I think Fofana would be a cracking deal. And the thing is, though, he's even turned down Everton. I saw that today. He's turned down Everton because he wants Champions League football. So,
which is fair enough. At the end of the day, Everton being a little bit ballsy there and putting in a bid for Fofana, I admire the ambition from them, because at the end of the day, I mean, I'm looking on Twitter here at the moment, And it looks like Everton are going to be picking up a couple of signings this week. They're looking at Douglas Luiz at Juventus and Adam Asnu from Bayern Munich coming in as well. So I admire the ambition that they've got.
I like Douglas Luiz. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, but Fofana, I did read that the other day that he's decided he hasn't said no to them, but I think the agents have said to him, said, look, there are other clubs that are interested that are in a higher position. So it looks like he's going to wait. I have seen a few Evertonians on Twitter losing their mind over that a little bit as well, which is kind of amusing. But sorry, go on anyway.
Yeah, so as I was to cut you off, I was just saying how I think. Well, actually, my brain's gone. What were we talking about again? Sorry.
With Fofana, it's I get the Fofana deal. I think kind of makes sense because he's such a young player.
Yeah. No, it come back to me now, but carry on.
He's young, but he's raw. I don't think we'll spend an awful lot if we did go for him. I don't think we'll spend an awful lot of money. But again, I don't particularly want another winger just to come in for the pure sake of it and hold up progression on, say, Engamoa's progression.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think somebody like Engamoa, looking at the preseason and looking at what he produced in just those little snippets last season, I think he deserves a shot already.
100%.
I think that lad is generational. Personally.
I've had friends in that comment to me saying how they only see Rio as giving him cup game time, but I'm thinking no, he needs Premier League game time. Fair enough, he won't be able to do, maybe only give him 10-20 minutes towards the end of a match or something, but he needs to build up that those minutes, especially in such a big competitive league. So I think he's so technically gifted. It's honestly so nice to see a footballer like him play. It's crazy how he glides with the ball.
Well, it perfectly segues into the game on the weekend. Okay, so it's a preseason friendly. Yes, we lost 4-2. So what?
Yeah,
I've seen some fans. How do I put this? Blowing off some steam about the result. I think more than anything else. It's you just need to remember it's preseason. It's friendlies for a reason. Fitness friendlies. That's what I call them, the fitness friendlies. Results-wise, getting a few wins. We've already beaten Preston and Stoke, by the way. So it's not like we've lost every single friendly. And also, bearing in mind, guys, have you forgotten the tragedy of Jota as well?
Yeah.
That knocked all our preseason completely out. Yes, we're on tour, but let's not forget, that only happened a month ago. Time has moved on pretty quick, but still in the back of some of the players' minds is going to be that thing. And the fact that Jota isn't on tour with them, stuff like that, give the guys a break. It's pre-season, for crying out loud. I can't take the results too seriously. What I do like to see is players like Engamoa using that opportunity and standing up against somebody like Fikayo Tomori, a seasoned professional, and he was just going at him. It's brilliant. That's what we want to see. I mean,
I proper enjoyed it. I think it was really good. It was a good test to see what our players do. And obviously, the thing is, Slot's still, he loves preseason because he likes experimenting with the teams. And it's not so much the result that annoyed me, obviously, because I was quite vocal about it on our group chat. It wasn't the result. I didn't really care. It was more so the silly mistakes I could see that haven't weren't ironed out. But like you said, it could be a whole host of things. The fact that they haven't had a lot of training, especially with the passing of Jota. So that'll obviously be taken into consideration as well. And that's going to be a massive thing, especially for the start of the sort of Prem season. When we start that, how they're going to be wearing the 20 Jota thing in the middle, aren't they?
Yeah.
Commemorate him. I think that'll definitely weigh heavily on their minds, especially to play, to be basically chucked back into work so soon. Not really a lot of grieving time.
No, there wasn't.
Sorry, carry on.
Oh, you go. Carry on.
I was just going to say, they're in the view of the cameras as well. They're always being filmed for everything. So when they're at work, yes, there's having fun and being professional, but there's also they can't really show a lot of sadness. And I think we're seeing that from Robbo as well. People pointed out that in videos now, Robbo doesn't seem to be as excitable as he normally is, and as happy and laughing. I think because obviously one of his best mates has gone to Madrid, and then he's just lost another really close teammate to him. They've been able to be with for the last 5 years. So, yeah, it'll be way heavy on a lot of players, to be fair.
Totally agree. I think a lot of supporters forget, like, sort of, there is a lot, obviously, things that go on in the background. Obviously, none of us expected what happened with Jota at all. And grieving is grieving. Every human being deals with it differently. And some will take a few weeks to deal with it. Some will take a few months. And yes, it will affect a player's form. So just remember that, guys. I'm the same as anybody. I'll overly criticize players. I'll make mistakes on criticizing players or praising players or whatever. But I always trying to remind myself that they are still human beings. They are still dealing with a very raw human emotions of losing one of their best mates. So let's just take that into a little bit of context when it comes down to the friendlies. As Davey T says here as well, years ago, preseason friendlies were never seen. Maybe a few hundred people were to Gateshead, exactly. But now they're watched by millions because it's televised and people are losing their mind because results aren't going their way, but it is just a preseason friendly. That is it. It's nothing to get, oh, God, we got beat 4-2 by AC Milan. I can guarantee this, AC Milan aren't going to have a good season. We will.
Yeah.
Guarantee that. AC Milan are stuck in the mud at the moment. They are in a bad way, club run-wise anyway. But finally, before we finish off on this, I'm just going to have a little whiz through Twitter. And oh my, somebody's put a nice new picture of our kit up, which is coming out on Friday.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Oh, that home kit is nice.
Yeah, I do really like it. It's sort of going back to like the Gerrard days, like the nice and the Torres days.
It feels 2007, 2008.
Very much so, yeah.
Very much on it.
The massive Carlsberg logo across
it. Yeah, I remember. I had them all, to be fair. But looks like the Isak thing is going to be the one that's going to dominate everything for the next week. But also, not just that, but Gahey looks to be the most certain to come through the door. And now there's a few reporters saying that it looks like we're going to be going for another centre-back on top of that because there are doubts over Gomez's fitness because he's injured again. And I can understand that. His injury record is not good in the slightest. And the fact that he's picked up an injury again, I feel for the guy. I really do, because when he's on form and when he's fit, really, really good.
Yeah. And I've always liked how versatile he is as well. He could play across the back line. So it's always been helpful for that. But the fact that he just can't stay fit or just ridden with injuries just isn't great for him. So,
and that's the big thing. The other day, we all want players to stay fit. And yes, injuries do come along. But Gomez, it just seems to be one of those unfortunate and unlucky players that just is dogged with injuries all the way through his career. I feel sorry for the guy. I really do, because, like you say, he's versatile. He can play left or right back, centre back, or, as we have seen previously, the DM a couple of times. Don't ever do that again. But in that season or season and a half where he didn't get any injuries and he played alongside Van Dijk, he was awesome. And if he could just stay fit and recoup some of that form, we could have an absolutely excellent centre-back on our hands again this year.
Yeah.
But I don't know how serious the injury is, looking at it. I'm just trying to find some more information on it. But
it's a slight ankle injury, right? I think. Was it ankle?
Yeah, it doesn't really... I'm trying to find some more info on it, but I don't actually know what it was that he'd done, to be fair. If anybody can correct in the chat or anything like that, I have no idea. So I have no idea how long he's going to be out for, or anything like that. He could please not for the entire season, for crying out loud.
Please not.
Looking at the other comments, William saying not worried about yesterday's game. 7 or 8 players out, and we had Simicast and Grav centre back. Yeah, that's also a fair point. A lot of players being played out of position as well. Davey T, as long as injuries are prevented, then I don't give a damn about it. Yeah, And at the end of the day, we did see a bit of that last season. The way Slot manages his players and the fitness levels and stuff like that. The injuries did drop significantly last season, albeit for a couple of the usual players who kept on picking up injuries. But for the most part, our squad was incredibly fit.
Yeah.
We didn't pick up that many injuries. So, and now we've got a couple of the injury prone players out, so to speak, as well. Hopefully, keeping all those players fit this season. I said this the other day, we could be on for another 60-game season here.
Yeah. If not more, it depends how much we've progressed through the Champions League as well. It's crazy.
Exactly. I mean, 38 league games. You got the Carabao Cup, which has we joined in the second round, so second, third, quarter, semi. So that's another 5 games on there. Then you got the FA Cup with another 6 or 7 games in there. Then the Champions League at a minimum of 8 games, and then you got the knockout rounds as well. So you could 60 games plus this season.
Mm-hmm.
Add on, most of them will be playing international games as well. We're going to need that fitness.
Yeah.
If we are going to be competitive and go for the league, the Champions League, and all the other bits and pieces, then we are going to need the fitness levels to be right up there and very, very few injuries. Fingers crossed. That was the main thing. Fireburn, do you know something that I don't or haven't seen? I know I've seen a little bit on Gahey earlier on this morning. Hang on.
It seems like the Gahey talk sort of shut down for a bit, like whilst we were having the Ekatike stuff ramped up.
Yeah,
I think
I think it may be a case of like sort of the journalists or the club picking and choosing what they're feeding out.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to get the Ekatike one done and dusted, and also we want to get the Isak one done and dusted as quickly as possible. And then I think focus will go over to the centre-back side of things.
Yeah, and obviously we need the sales as well, don't we? Nunes, Chiesa, potentially Elliott. So
it was Fireburn saying it was a quote from Slot stating that Kwanzaa hasn't been replaced yet, and yet is the key word. Well, yeah, that is very true. It's very, very telling. Okay, he dropped off because again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that. It's that obviously the Jota thing turned everything left field, and a lot of things got dropped and hidden under the surface, whilst the club just tried to navigate everything. Which, by the way, I think the club has been brilliant.
Yeah, I agree.
They absolutely smashed it out of the park. The way they've dealt with everything on this so far. Hey, we've got John Henry in the chat.
Found your wallet, John.
What do you mean? His checkbook is currently on fire at the moment, and he's having a heart attack at the amount of money we're spending.
God, yeah.
Charlie Craswell, well, young English centre-back, I think is a fair shout. I don't know too much about him, to be honest, but
yeah, I don't.
If he's young enough and he could come in as a backup, say, for a long-term one, then why not? David T, what's he saying? Isak is yours now. Your fitness team needs to manage him correctly. I agree there. Isak does have a couple of injury issues over the last couple of years, but I think our fitness team is good enough to manage that now.
Oh, yeah.
And also the fact that we got Ekatike in as well as a backup, for want of a better term, a very expensive backup with that, but rotating between those two, I think we'll be all right. I think.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Willem's saying Gahey will be done later in the window. Palace are tough negotiators. Yes, they are. I agree. I think this one may go down to like the last couple of weeks because Palace are going to want, not only have they got Diamande in, which, by the way, is an absolutely outstanding signing.
We were looking at him, weren't we?
Yeah, I couldn't believe when I saw that. I was like, what? I kind of wanted us to go in for him, to be fair. But yeah, great signing for them. And I think they want another centre-back in as well to make sure that's covered. But there's no way they're going to get 50 million for him in his final season. Not a chance.
No.
Right, okay.
For us as well.
Yes.
Also, we were looking at that Italian centre-back, weren't we? I don't know what happened to him.
Scalvini.
Yeah, I think that's what his name was.
What was it?
Yeah, something like that.
But Bastoni into Milan, I think, will probably be too expensive. But Scalvini, I definitely think he would be within a shout. I know Newcastle were interested in him as well. The only problem that he's got is that he spent most of last season out with an ACL.
Yeah.
So it may be a case that he has to stay at Atalanta for another season to try and build himself back up before he is moved on. Maybe. John Henry's come back with some more scouting report on Cresswell. Didn't realise John Henry was a scout.
There you go.
If Cresswell is available for 18 million for Porto, that's a great deal. Played all the under 21 tournaments. Oh yeah, of course he did. Young English, so that helps with the homegrown quota.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, that's a fair point. That's not a bad shout at all. Covers the homegrown quota. Young, reasonable price. That might actually be worth a punt, to be fair.
Yeah, especially if we've got Joe Gomez that just isn't reliable. The thing is, though, I know that, was it last season we were looking at potentially doing a swap deal? Gomez goes to Newcastle and we were going to get Gordon. Now,
yeah.
I don't know why that gone quiet in Newcastle and getting Gomez, because he could even be part of the Isak deal instead of Elliott. I don't know. Again,
I think the injuries may be putting other clubs off. That's going to be the big deal breaker. That is going to be the big deal breaker, is the fact that his injury record is just so bad, unfortunately. Dear me. Apparently, I've not heard of this one, Leone. That's not one on my radar. There's an Italian centre-back.
I don't know his name, but the one we were interested was quite a young Italian centre-back that was spoken.
I'm pretty sure that was Scalvini. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's the name that keeps on ringing in my head. Also, as Fireburn says, this could be probably one of the biggest twists of the transfer window. I personally was expecting Konate either to be sold or going to leave at the end of the season. But now, from what I've seen on social media, is that the contract hasn't been rejected and it may be looking like that he's going to stay on. I'm not against that. At the end of the day, I'm fine with that. But I was also fine with him leaving. He's a good centre-back, but I think maybe a couple more years partnering alongside Van Dijk, we could not only have a good centre-back, but we could have a great centre-back.
Yeah, he just needs to iron out the last little bits in his sort of defending, though he's a bit rash with things, whereas I've seen it, Van Dijk is so calm and composed, whereas you'll see Konate foul a bit more when he doesn't need to. And it's more so he just needs to strongman his arm of the man. So I think, well, like you said, hopefully he stays on with us. I wasn't best pleased when I heard the news that he was potentially going to go to Madrid, especially on a free. I was thinking, wow, has his head turned as well? But I think the fact that he's reconsidering things, maybe he's seen Slot's vision with all the players we're bringing in, and he sees Konate as like a big key part of it, especially if Gahey isn't to replace Konate. Gahey's just to bolster our defense we're very limited in anyway. So I'm hoping that's his sort of thought process.
I think that's fair enough. And like I said, I was in two minds with the whole Konate situation. I think what annoyed me more is just Real Madrid doing the whole, come on, run your contract down. You can come to us for free so we don't have to pay anything out. I detest that.
Yeah.
But
I hated it.
I'm kind of glad that it seems to be that he doesn't actually really want to leave. That's the kind of the impression I'm getting. So, and as Fireburn said, Madrid have actually turned their attention a little bit towards Saliba at Arsenal. Now Arteta and Co can deal with that sort of thing. Crack on. That's all I can say. A little bit more word on Leone. Giovanni Leone is from Parma. All right, I'll have a little look at him and see what he's like. I'm all for signing a couple of young centre-backs. I mean, hey, if we spend 30 million on bringing two younger centre-backs in to learn off Gomez, Konate and Van Dijk, you've got three really good defenders there that you're going to learn a lot off as young centre-backs. And if we do bring in Gahey as well, who's extremely experienced, it could work out for us. And let's not forget as well, we do have another centre-back in our youth team, and that's Nallo.
Yeah. And
he's been in and around that first-team squad as well, so we may see a little bit more of him. Possibly. Who knows? Personally, I think he's one player that may need to go out on loan this season to get a full season experience. But we'll see on that one.
Definitely seeing used in cup games for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and just don't get sent off on your debut, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as debuts go, that's probably not the best thing to do in hindsight, but hey-o. Well, we've hit the 50-minute mark almost there, and I'm going to call time on that there, I think.
Okay, sounds good.
So, thank you very much for watching, guys. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. We are on our way to 1,500 subs now that we've utterly obliterated that target I set of the 1K before the Bournemouth game. Thank you very much for doing that, by the way. Let's see if we can get that 1.5 now before the Bournemouth game.
Maybe.
Can we? I think it's possible. Come on, let's see if we can get that 1.5K before the Bournemouth game. I'm feeling optimistic about that one. Patricio, thank you very much for joining me today as well. Very much appreciated as always. I'll see you later, guys. Thank you very much for watching.